get started. I think some people will trickle in, but I do think it's going to be a little bit intimate today. I think I know everyone. Yes, everyone I know. Well, welcome, and I think everyone has been to programming before, so you know my shtick, right? 2 goals: get to know somebody, meet someone new, and learn something. So getting to know someone, you get to start with introduction. Well, welcome everyone, good morning. Power Company is definitely one of my favorite events because I love getting to interview our incredible members. You know, that we have, every event has a little different feel to it. You know, next week's is more of a workshop base. Today is an intimate conversation with fabulous women. So
I did bring a board.
Yeah, yeah. And as you all know, every month has a theme. The teacher me wants to quiz you. What's this theme for this month? Does anyone know what we're going to be talking about today? You can't tell them.
Well,
okay. It's something a lot of people, including myself, struggle with at times.
And business development.
What'd you say?
Business development.
Yes. Business development and sales. And you know what was confusing for me when I started in the business world is the word development and nonprofit can mean fundraising. But you know, in the business world, business development means basically
also business development for nonprofits.
Okay, cool. So there's crossover. Well, wonderful. Well, biz dev and sales is something that's so important, and I know for some of us, we kind of feel squirmy about it, and it feels. When I first entered into the world of business, didn't want to be that transactional, icky car salesman kind of thing. And it's neat to see people like Barbara because I really appreciate how she goes about it, and it doesn't feel transactional, and it doesn't feel icky. It's really relationship based, which is what we're all about. So we are excited to feature her, learn from her, and get to know Barbara a little better. And you know, we do things a little different, right? Because of my ADD. Just saying.
I have it too, so get prepared, ladies.
Don't worry, I can keep you on track. Woo! You know, instead of reading her amazing bio, which I encourage you guys to go on LinkedIn and check her out because she's amazing and done incredible things, we like to start with the fun question of first job and current job because I think it's always fun to take it on back to the high school days. It doesn't have to be like a real job. It's like, you know, the first endeavor into the work world.
My first endeavor was a librarian aide for the local library that was in our little suburb. I'm from Colorado Springs, from Whitefield. And so, so it was being a librarian aide.
Oh my gosh, I think that's awesome. See, that's why I like that question because we always hear like the most interesting stories.
The funny thing is I don't read books. So it's not like a magazine reader. It was through a work program, and so
in high school.
In actually my 9th grade year.
Okay.
Yes, I started early in the work world, and now I'm the founder, co-founder, and CEO of SecondActWomen, which I started at 51, now 54.
I love that. And what I love many things about Barbara, but one of the things I want to talk about today that I think makes you a perfect person to interview is she's, you know, done a lot of different things, has a background in many different industries, because sales and biz dev, I feel like people sometimes are like, oh, well, you don't get it because you're not in my industry. Yeah. And the reality is there's a lot of things that transfer over many industries, and I think someone like you brings a lot to the table because you've done many different things. You've been in real estate, PR. Yeah. So share a little bit about your journey to get to SecondActWomen.
So I started out in marketing and business development for shopping centers, actually. That was my career since college, since I did my first internship at the Citadel Mall in Colorado Springs, and decided instantly my freshman year in college that's what I was going to do, and sure enough, that's what I did for nearly 12 years. And so I was in that industry, and you're going to be surprised to know, there's a management team. I think we all know that by now. There are people that run the mall, obviously.
Yeah, but when you go, you're not
but also, right, you're not thinking, and we're usually by the trash cans. That's usually how we have to enter the mall. They put us like in the dungeon. But I started, you know, in the mall industry and did that for 12 years. And then also did radio and TV sales. So I was with 9 News and KS 107.5 and Alice and some other stations before going back into the mall industry. And that's where I ended my career, was as Director of Marketing and Business Development for Park Meadows Retail Resort. Never call it a mall. It was a retail resort.
But then
made my mistake of calling it a mall on the first day. Don't call any shopping center a mall. That's very 80s and 90s. They are shopping centers or lifestyle centers.
Well, if nothing else, you walked away definitely learning that, but you're going to learn many things. And then you started a company in PR. Come on in, welcome.
Yes, I did. And what's interesting is those two industries that I was in is heavily in sales. We dabble a lot in sales and business development, because if you see, if you're pulling up to Cherry Creek Mall and they've got to deal with Mercedes, that's the deals that we're creating, that we as the marketing directors are doing. So we're, out there prospecting, networking, and doing all these things that we're going to talk about later. But we're working with, Mercedes of Denver and so on and so forth, or even higher up. Macy's, if they want to do a promotion, we're now working with their higher ups to do a mall-wide promotion. So, so anytime you see any sponsorship or anything at shopping centers, that's what you're doing, and that also transferred over into the radio business, because we're selling concerts and we're selling air and we're selling, now our websites. But going back to the question,
PR. You started a PR firm with Lupe,
I
right?
started, a PR and marketing company when I left. I was an accidental entrepreneur, yes, in 2011. I lost my dream job and became, I kind of was like probably a lot of you, where you're just kind of wondering what are you going to do. And at the time I was in my mid-40s, not realizing there was any ageism going on, because probably like a lot of you, you're interviewing, you usually get the job, or you at least get the interviews and all of that. So I wasn't getting them, so I decided to listen to friends and say, start your own company. Well, in the mall industry specifically, you wear many hats. So you are the public relations, you're the community relations, you're the salesperson, you're handling Santa. Yes, we interview Santa to make sure he's not only naughty, but I mean not naughty. Oh my God, not naughty.
Naughty Santa.
But that he's got a real beard, and so anyway, and he's bonded, and all those things. But we were dealing with all those. We were wearing 7 different hats, so public relations was always one of those that I was really good at as well. So started slow, and then sure enough, started inching up. Next thing you know, within a couple of years, I'm at 6 figures, just a lower 6 figures, which was slightly more than what I was making in the mall industry. Pre-bonus, because you do get bonus on things, on your sales. So then I collaborated with Lupe, my business partner, who I had met when Vail Cascade Resorts was my client at Park Meadows Retail Resort. And so she was the public relations specialist for that company, Destinations Resorts. Next thing you know, me, her, and the person she was working for are all becoming good friends. So fast forward,
Now
I
Lupe
said,
is
hey,
her work wife.
right, she's my work wife, and she's an expert in, that's solely what she does, whereas I wear the other many hats, and we have a different style in public relations.
Yeah.
So, so
And
that's how it started.
I always joke that her and Lupe are like Kate and I, because you can just definitely tell that we have similar personalities.
We're yin and yang,
Yes.
for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have more Barbara's personality. So you now have sort of the journey of her going from real estate, marketing, all the different things. Let's dive into the sales aspect of it, sales and biz dev. So much about sales and biz dev, in my opinion, is relationships and and building community. And that's something I think you do really, really well. What advice do you have for them as to how do you build that community, that momentum, when you're different people in here in different stages of their business and trying to stir it up and not wanting to do it in an icky kind of way?
Yeah, it's about being patient, getting
hard.
yourself out there. Yes, because it's very hard, because relationships don't happen like that, especially now during the pandemic. So for me, I've been back in this market because I did live across the United States as marketing director of Fashion Show Mall in Vegas and other places, where it starts slowly in building those relationships. So it's attending, and it sounds so cheesy, but it is attending those networking events that we all hated so much, or at least I didn't appreciate. The chamber events and all of those, that was just not my thing, even though I'm an extrovert. But it's finding those areas and connecting. I like connecting versus networking, and just sending the thank you cards when you meet someone, the handwritten ones. It's doing the one-on-ones. You did that with me, which is how I met you. We met for coffee downstairs. It's doing all those things that are common sense but are hard for some.
Yeah.
Because especially if you're an introvert, or even just picking up the phone, I can't believe I just, did old school. All I need is a board.
You just like,
right? For now, now obviously you can make connections, through just the simple emails, but making sure that your emails are not salesman-like. Because in radio and TV, I work with some killers, and I mean killer salespeople who are also I'm not gonna say used car because my brother sells cars and he's very good and he comes from the military, so he's not salesman-like. But it's true that there are some people, a lot of them go in and they're just looking at the numbers. And instead, it really is, and that's why women traditionally are better at selling, because we are about building those relationships. And oftentimes it's so funny, I think a lot of you probably have even, some of those relationships that you've built have turned into friendships. Next thing you know, and even if they haven't, next thing you know, like you and others, they're recommending you. I can't tell you how many emails we get. Probably you get a lot of emails, like I want to connect you with this person and that person. It's about that, but also keeping your own brand personality intact. Being real, being honest, as a lot of people like to say, authentic. Don't burn bridges, because they will bite you in the ass. I'm 54, trust me. It's about just knowing your business, knowing your target, and all these other things I'm going to dive into a little later on. But a lot of it is really simple, but it's getting out there, and I'm going to recommend some things here on this board. I'm like that senator. I run my board.
I love it. You're
But and let me make sure that I'm not missing anything.
Well, it's funny. I sent her questions earlier, and I'm like, I don't even remember what my questions were.
I got
I say somewhat on task. Well, one of the things that was going through my mind is you were talking about a lot of great things, making connections, attending events, putting yourself out there. Something I think she does really well is she really puts herself out there. Putting yourself out there on social media and communicating what you're doing and what you're excited about. And I think your excitement sort of builds more excitement, is what I've seen you do.
Can I tell you that's number one for us specifically, especially during these COVID times. Thank you, because that's kind of where I was going with it. And thank you.
Yeah, that's why you got me back.
So social media and LinkedIn and the platforms that are best for our consumers, our ladies, is Facebook and LinkedIn, and then Instagram comes third. So right now we're focused on building our beautiful community of women over 40 and 50 on Facebook for the entrepreneurs and the career women in the life side of what we're talking menopause, and we're talking about hot flashes, which I had a moment ago. Let's talk about all those things, so I might have to take off my jacket. But then you've got the LinkedIn, and yes, the relationships that we have built, you all, and engage. Whatever industry you're in, be sure that you're finding at least the top 10 people you want to follow on LinkedIn and engage with them. I have made so many relationships with Stacy London, for gosh sakes, who now directly emails me. She's taken part in events that we're doing. I've made connections with Cindy Gallup, who is known for the, yes! I'm like, what?
Well,
This is
I'm
crazy.
gonna pause it for a minute.
Oh,
Anyone,
you say what I do.
No, well,
Or my company is.
Well, no, you did. But for someone who's like listening to you, the word engage on LinkedIn, can you give a specific example of what that looks like? Because I think sometimes we hear these things and we're like, yeah, I get it, but I don't know what that actually, what's the mechanics of doing that?
The mechanics are finding those top 10, making a point, putting it on your calendar to engage, and I'll tell you what that is, at least 3 to 4 times a week, even if it's just a like. But engaging means having a point with whatever message it is. Even if it's, I just saw an article on that and posting the article in that thread, or I completely agree with that, or here's what I've found. It could just be a one sentence, it could be a like or a celebrate, but I take the step further with the people that I know I want to build relationships with, and it's not fake, because I really want to become these people's friends, because that's how I roll. And so it's finding those people, and guys, a lot of people aren't following these people on Twitter. I'm discovering Twitter. I found it during the political times. That's a whole different time. So is how I was getting my stuff. But now I found Cindy Gallup is there and some others, and people are engaging with them on Twitter. So Robin Roberts is like responding back to me, whether it's her assistant or not. Still, I'm getting seen. So I say also find that one area they may also be that a lot of people aren't. And Twitter is where I'm finding that people are starting to do a lot more positive things. And again, it's like, holy crap! I became friends with with reporters that I know eventually, and Trujillo and others that I wanted to have do a story about Second Act Women. So I've built a rapport, I've sent her story ideas, not necessarily about me and my business, but about someone in our community or something I've heard. I had a friend who just won silver in the basketball. He was second against the USA on Saturday night.
Nice.
Yeah, his team, he was the head coach of the Japanese team, sent them that story, you know, so it's also so that they know I'm not just trying, it's just not about me. Because let me tell you, another thing is, reporters are always looking for stories. They are always looking for stories, and so if you're engaging, so I would almost say take that 10 or maybe even 20 and divide those people out according to who. So 3 are in media, 3 are, you know, do this in your industry, 3 do that in your industry, and they don't have to have large following. That's another thing. Quality versus quantity, and we have something big to announce. You sort of know about it, but we did win. We have a global company that said we want to help you go to the next level, and we have something that only has a smaller group of people that it was the engagement. It was the engagement also of our women. So I'm telling you, it's quality versus quantity.
So just to make sure we're all on the same page, so notice it's sharing their content, it's commenting on their content, liking their content. Did I get this?
Yep.
And then providing value. What I'm hearing is that she provides value too, because so often people reach out and like, they want something from you immediately, and I think that that's such.
Oh, that drives me nuts. When the minute I connect with something, don't you hate when they immediately then send you some kind of a sales message, and you've connected with them because of who they know, and you're thinking, oh, this is going to be a good. Yeah, I immediately disconnect with them. I remove them from my list if they immediately sell me something.
Yeah. Well, and I know some people, I'm not looking at anyone in particular, no, I shouldn't. I know a lot of women don't love putting themselves out there on social media because it feels so, I've heard so many women, not just one, I've heard many women say, you know, it just feels so narcissistic, or I feel uncomfortable making it about me. So what I like is that you're saying you could be sharing other people's articles, you could be commenting on their posts, so it's doing it in a way without it being like, if that's not your personality.
Yeah.
So we talked about things that you can be doing. I'm curious, and I don't know if that was my question or not, but now I'm thinking about it. Mistakes people make early days. We're kind of already talking about some of the mistakes, right? This idea of being super transactional. Can you think of a mistake in your early days in terms of biz dev? And if you can, I can come up with many mistakes that made. Biz dev or sales of things that you're like, ooh, that wasn't so good. Or I wish I would have.
Yeah, not knowing who I'm going after and just going after them. And then
Say more
getting in
about
the
that.
meeting. So you set a meeting with the client. These are my younger days, and you're just trying to go in for the sale. Because back then it was about the money, you know, your salary and all of that. When you're and also being recognized within my company as a champion, and getting the awards and all of that. And so going after a client or someone and not getting the right decision maker. So literally sitting in the meeting and you're realizing halfway through, they're the gatekeeper, or you know, because you didn't do your work, your homework. And I'm gonna date myself, but it's okay. So before the internet, you know, you have to do all the calls, and so you don't know. So you can't do the Googling, you can't find out more about the company. You have to do the old school. And so it was not vetting the person correctly. And I think that even happens now. We just did this last week. Matter of fact, we have an advisory board. We're going after large companies like Target and Macy's and others to support us in sponsorships and partnerships and advertising. We found out from Michael Beavis, who's Director of Entrepreneurship and Innovation for the City and County of Denver. He's one of our advisors as well for Second Act Women. We found out we were going after the wrong people because I was so used to going after the people in marketing or sponsorships. And yes, you do that, but also because of what our company does in combating ageism through workshops and events and all of that for women over 40 and 50. There's now these, of course, D&I departments, we knew that, but there's also these social responsibility departments that for, you know, Allegra, I think you have an organization you said that helps nonprofits. Yeah, so you could go after those organizations because they want to attach their brands to cause marketing in a way that you don't have to deliver all the things that I thought we had to deliver in the past, which are a number of banner ads on our website, a number of mentions in our e-newsletter, a number of this or that. Yeah, they want some of that, but a lot of times they want us to customize and figure out how they can be integrated, fully integrated for 20, 30,000, 100,000, whatever it be. So that's how we think big. And so keep that in mind, that if you're in an industry, women owned, Black or minority owned, LGBTQ plus, I mean, there are companies out there that would even help, brick and mortar businesses, because they want to be associated with helping minorities, of which all of you are.
Yeah.
You are all minorities because you're women. And if you're over 40, you're a double minority.
Yeah. That's such a good point. Yeah. We always like,
keep that in mind. I'm a quadruple because I'm 5'11" and Black. I usually wear heels when I get into
I'm like, focus, Stacey, what's next? No, but I think that brings up a lot of good points. This idea that when you go in, because many people are trying to navigate corporate and breaking into corporate, and it's like sometimes in corporate you're going through the wrong channels and having to make it through, and that does, I cheated, and I was like, what were the questions I told her we were gonna ask? But I'm glad I looked, because one of the questions I wanted to ask is, in sales and biz dev, you face a lot of rejection. You hear a lot of no's, you're going in the wrong way, or whatever it is. And that's, for some of us, hard, right? I don't want to project on you all. For me, early on, hearing no, I was so scared of hearing no, and it would, like, as soon as I heard no, I was like, my idea must stop. I'm not going to ever be successful. So how do you navigate, the rejection side of sales and biz dev? And I'm assuming you faced it.
Oh yeah. Because I think what they say is, for every 9 no's,
it's time for the board.
Right? It's time for the board, because I do want to take a step back. I want to remind everybody what marketing, biz dev, and sales is.
Oh, okay.
Because there's a difference. So I want you to first take a step back.
I can be your Hannah.
Yes, thank you. So you have your business goal. How many of you have a business goal? If you don't, it's okay. It happens. How many of you plan to have a business goal?
If you don't have,
That should be number one. Actually, number two. Number one is having a business plan, because your goal is inside of that. So marketing, these are strategies underneath marketing. These are all of the things that you, and you can take a picture of it. These are all of the things that you have to be aware of first, that you have to have your house in order. Before you even go out. Yeah, absolutely. Before you go out, marketing is how people get to know you. It is the indirect way of how they're going to get to know you and your product. So there's branding and collateral, obviously signage. So for instance, signage, she has wayfinders downstairs. It's the signage all throughout the building. It's the graphics package. It's the website. It's the social and digital marketing. It's public relations. It's getting articles written up about you. It's your events. It's content marketing and sponsorships. Those are your strategies, in a sense, that are underneath marketing. Those are all your tools underneath marketing. And each one of those can have tactics. Now, second comes
I think this is great.
biz dev. So, and these all three cross over. So here we go. Business development is really about getting to know the person, getting to know the company, getting to know the people. And you're doing that through networking. During these times right now, find Zooms. I'm on every Zoom I possibly can when I can, even though my bandwidth is about this big right now. I will make time to at least attend, and I think you should too, at least 1 or 2 events where you're meeting new people. Trade shows and conferences, that means attending conferences and or being at a trade show and presenting. Getting your brand out there. It's also memberships, meaning being a part of RISE, being a part of associations and groups that helps your breadth, helps broaden your company and your reach. And then community and civic duties. How many of you volunteer your time? Pre-COVID, let's just say that. Okay, yes. I'm on the board of Sense of Security. It's a matter of, so you're reaching and meeting different people in those ways. That's your sphere, by the way, of influence. These are different ways that I'm going to talk about in sales. And then it's about face-to-face prospecting, which really goes into sales. So once you have this in order, especially this, you got to have your brand in order. Then you can move into sales, because now you have a goal. You know who your target, because in your business plan, you have your target demographic, you know your niche, and all of that. So now sales is really the direct end user. You are selling directly to that person. All of this tees it up. It's negotiating, it's closing the deal, but guess what people forget? They forget to service the clients, send the thank yous, check in. How are things? We're doing a check-in today.
Yeah.
It's those things, and then it's following up. Meaning sending back a little package, a little deck that says, here's what we promised we were gonna do, here's what we did. We always like to overpromise. Underpromise, overdeliver.
Kind of like naughty Santa.
Between naughty Santa, my Lord. So these, and then guess what this leads to? Oh, look at this, I'm like the senator. Look at this. It then leads to, wait for it.
It's the most entertaining fireside coffee.
Right? Business growth. Hello, once you have all of this, and it's not that you need to be doing, how many of you are one-woman shows? Yeah, you don't have to do it all. You're gonna pick according to your niche and your target and your clients and your prospects. You're gonna pick which one of these really fits. You need to do a lot of these. You don't have to do sponsorships and things. But yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that first we understood the differences.
I think that's really smart.
And you could Google the hell out of what biz dev is. I think this is the easiest definition. Trust me, over the years of being a business, a owner of a company, I have struggled with it, and inevitably this is what I've come out.
No, and I love this because
For it to be.
I do think people blur, including myself, blur all the conversations together, and I think this does a nice job sort of separating them out. What I love the most about what you said is that you did start with a goal, because so often what I see business owners doing is starting with the tactics down here, like, oh, I'm gonna go to a podcast, I'm gonna be a speaker at this event, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do this, and when it's like, okay, cool, all of those things are great marketing and biz dev tactics, but what are you trying to accomplish?
Right.
People often forget that, and then it doesn't translate. It's like, but I just did all these things.
Right.
And so I really love that you did that. The one thing I wanted to add, the Zoom stuff, where was it?
Oh, yeah.
The Zoom. Something that people always forget to do that I do, because I like attending those too, but my ADD does kick in, and it's like, if I'm gonna take the time to listen to that, it's like I'm using it for a biz dev. What I've done that people often forget to do is I screenshot all of the attendees. If you hit on the bottom, there's like what's that thing that gets you the list of attendees or whatever?
The participants.
Participants.
Button,
You click on the participant button, and then you come over to the right and you screenshot it. Then you can get a list of all sorts of people, and then afterwards I do a little LinkedIn stalking. And I'm like, ooh, who looks interesting, and then it's, hey Sally, we both attended blah 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 events. You know, what was your favorite thing? My favorite thing, whatever. Striking up a conversation in this authentic way.
Can I also say with that, also save the chat. I don't think a lot of people know you can save the chat.
I didn't.
The lower left-hand corner, in the very bottom, it says save chat. So when it ends, you can save the chat.
Oh, then you can comment on something somebody said.
It will save that entire thread to your computer. The other thing is, make sure you not only put your name, but your business. We automatically on Zoom in the back office, we literally, it says Barbara Brooks, but then where it says, you know, the name, how you want to be recognized on screen, it says Barbara Brooks, Pike, that's that line, Pike 54, SecondActWomen. So no matter what event I'm invited to on Zoom, my name and my company, because I'm always branding myself, make sure you do that. You don't have to put the age. You know, that's where we're at. But you know, we do make our members announce their ages though, so they can feel pride.
Yeah.
So you had asked me though some things about staying hyped up, or at least
dealing with failure.
So can I tell you the one of the things when you hit, I'm gonna flip it for a second. When you do get that go ahead on that contract or that new business or that new client, keep going. That is the day that you need to continue selling. I am telling you, because you were in a mood and people can hear it. There's something about the voice, and do go old school and pick up the phone after you go through the email, because I do that too, and then I'll pick up the phone. But they can hear that joy, they can hear your passion, your purpose, and they'll want to continue. So I say that is the day or the week that you keep going, because there's nothing about dialing for dollars, you know, after you, that's what we used to call the mall industry, or, I'm sorry, the radio industry. But it's, it's whatever you're selling, your product or your service, it's going back and reading your why and remembering why you're doing it. Because you have to have a why. And I love that book by Simon Sinek, Start With Why. You have to remember that, because I think that takes you back to the olden days, a few months back or a year when you started the company. Because yeah, it's hard being an entrepreneur. And I'm blessed to have a partner. I really am. But it's hard on us even still. You go through these ebbs and flows, these peaks and valleys. You just have to remember that. Also, can I say, if you do get down, because there are people that live with mental health, depression and things, call a friend, like a game show, call a friend so you can get out of it and keep going, because I think that's what also can happen.
Well, and something you did that I really appreciate, not only call a friend, but you're really open and on social media said, like, I'm having a down day or I'm having an off day, and just being willing to say it out loud and all the positive response you got because of that.
Oh, it lifted me back up.
Totally. So I think
Totally.
it's asking for help, whether it's a phone call, whether
Yeah.
it's social media, whether it's a text to a friend.
Yeah, and I was that person who hid my depression. I didn't even know I had it until 7 years ago. And then I look back and I think, oh my God, that's why it was like that. That's why I was a bitch sometimes.
Well, I'm gonna pause you with the whole keep selling after you sell. I think that's such a good analogy, and Ashley, you're gonna appreciate this. I think it goes back to, I always compare business to dating. I dated for a long time. I got married
I'm
at
still
like
trying to.
37 or
I'm just
38.
trying.
And I think there's so many lessons learned from dating to business.
Yeah.
Think about when you're excited or you have a boyfriend or a partner, should say, or whatever it is, you radiate this energy that all of a sudden everybody, of course everyone wants to date you once you have a boyfriend, right? It's when you're in that place of like, I'm just feeling kind of down.
Yeah.
So I love that you bring that up, and really that whole dating and biz dev, I swear, dating and biz dev, one and the same.
It's one of the same.
Do some internet stalking, making sure you know who they're talking to, connecting on a personal level.
And you know,
Find your
you can
daughter
actually,
Santa.
and I love that you said that, because there are times where I have said, we met some people from Disney, one in particular saw a post of ours, and he's a he, and he loved what we were doing, and then introduced us to the women of Disney, and then we got a chance to speak to them, and so on and so forth. And so, so it got to the point where he had introduced us to some other people to go further into Disney, and we literally use those terms, and then they do get back. We literally say, we know we're stalking you.
Yeah.
You know, you got to make fun of it if you know that there's rapport, a little rapport, and you've had this big connection and you have to say, by the way, who your contact is. Meaning if you're going in, especially to a big or small company, you've been recommended by someone that knows somebody, use that name after you've asked them permission, because that'll help you get in the door. But also remember, when you're down or you're feeling like, oh, is that you're a problem solver. You developed your product to help other people. How beautiful is that? Remember that whatever it is, you have found a solution to help others. So if you even go back to that, which also of course goes back to your why, then it's like, oh yes, all right, let me get back at it. Let me get back on LinkedIn and let me find more people to engage with. And yes, it's not gonna happen immediately, trust me, I get it. But it's a matter of remembering that you are a problem solver. And that's why you're here and in this room and doing your business. Or working for a company, it doesn't matter. You are solving a problem. By the way, how many of you work for a company? Yeah. Guess what? Yeah. Well, guess what? You're kind of like, because we work with women that are in careers as well, work for companies. Personal branding and all that is still important. Mm-hmm. It's still important.
Well, and being an
it's
entrepreneur.
like you are your own person. They hired you for your assets. So you are like your own business, if you think of it that way.
Oh, for sure.
So anyway, practice asking for the order. I know it's tough.
What do you mean when you say that? Practice asking for the sale?
Asking for the sale. Even if you have to call on a friend again. Or I used to create a script because it was, it was new to quite a few of us. When you're going into marketing and you're thinking you don't know you have to sell. I didn't realize that in the mall industry, which I ended up loving. So you just create and in radio, we did the same thing. You create a script and you start to memorize it, but you also start to repeat it as if you're an actor, and it'll start coming natural. Next thing you know, you're picking up that call. hi, I'm Barbara Brooks. I would like to speak with, whatever the speech may be.
No, I think that's so.
Or the email, and make the emails quick, don't make them long. It's also learning to let go, and it's hard to say, all right, I know I'm right for this person. I know I can help them. I know I can, I've got the right venue for them. There are times where you just have to let go because, after a while, it's like, is that worth your time? Because as an entrepreneur, time is money. Every minute is time, that needs to be spent revenue generating or working for your company, or doing those activities, obviously. So learning when it's time to move on.
Just like dating. Just like dating.
And that is hard.
Yes.
I get it. And the last thing I have to say is gamify it. Make a game out of it. Literally, we had created a code. So when we sell and we have $100,000 up here, and we have stickies like 2 different colors. So Lupe has one color, I have another, and we literally will color in. If she made a $5,000 sale, we color it in. We put her sticker there with the client. And then we have all of our clients that we're going after, and we're able to move them over as we're closing the sale. Whatever it takes, gamify it. If that's how you, if that, helps you,
I think that's a good
turn
point.
it into, you've got your goal, always have your goal, and then just, make it fun, in radio, they used to ring a bell whenever a salesperson would, make a sale. Even if it was $500, even though we were selling a $1,000 package or hundreds of regardless. Bell ring.
Yeah, no, I think celebrating the wins definitely
Yeah,
helps
celebrate
keep
the
you
wins.
excited.
Big and small, they are all wins.
I love that. Well, I do have a few more questions, but instead of me asking them, I want to make sure that I give you guys time to ask questions, specifically either about your business or general in terms of biz dev and sale. Good, get it, Ashley.
How do you have all of this, these reserves for energy? Every time I've talked to you, you have so much authenticity, but compassion. You will let me interrupt you in the middle of your time. You'll be singularly focused on something and still make time for every single woman that interacts with you. How do you do it? When you're on, you're on. Is it that when you're off, you're just really good at self-care, and this is something I'm gonna have to wait another 10 years to figure out? I'm in such awe of
I
you.
love it. I will
Yeah.
tell you, I feed off of people. I'm an extrovert who also is an introvert, so when I go home and I live alone with a 4-pound dog, so that's where I'm turning on Real House of Beverly Hills or something, Erica no. Anyway.
Your brain candy.
That's my brain candy. But I feed off of people, and I gotta tell you, I love what I do.
Yeah.
So I've been blessed enough there's been some crap jobs that I still, gave it my all, or not sometimes, frankly, it happens. But I love what I do, and I love, interacting with people. I feed off of it. But I do go home. I'm not as good with self-care as I need to be.
Oh, stop.
That's, it's just, I feed off of people. I love to help. It's always been in my DNA. I get it from my mom. She used to pick up strangers on the way to Fort Carson to work.
Well, and I think the point that you really do believe in and love what you're doing, I think that definitely, you can tell she's excited. I still remember the first day I met her, just hearing about your plan. I could tell how excited you were and how you were going to do it. I knew it was going to be a success from the moment I met you.
Thank you.
Other questions? Yes.
I wanted to thank you, because when you laid out on that board,
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the board. It really helped kind of crystallize for me. It was something you said that's not actually on the board. So that marketing is how they get to know you, and then business development is how you get to meet them. And then what you didn't say, but for sales is for me is sales is kind of then how you determine together if you can benefit each other.
Yes,
Ooh, I
love
like
that.
that.
Love that.
And
Writing it
then-
down, stealing it. Hashtag stealing.
Well, we already know that we.
Yeah, exactly.
And then to deal with rejection, one of the things that has helped me is to go back to testimonials people have given me.
Yes.
And to
That's such
read
a
those
That is a
over.
good one. Yes.
Even if I did suck right now, which I'm really sure I didn't, those people think I did, but I didn't, these people know I don't suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to
Yes.
go back and look at that.
I think that's a great point. Thank you
So-
for sharing that.
Yeah, that is good.
Jenny, I saw your hand, and then we'll get.
Yeah, I did have a quick question. So as a new entrepreneur trying to do so many things, how do you recommend the balance between like in-person networking, trying to do stuff on social media and marketing and presentations and like
There's so much to do.
there's so much to do.
Yeah, I would almost look at your month. So I'm a big planner. I love planner systems. I would look at your month and say, you could either do it this way. 1 week, I'm gonna attend 2 events, whether it's in person or on Zoom. The next week, or maybe it's one week, it's gonna be go out, meet somebody, even if it's for coffee. The next week is I'm gonna attend a conference or be a part of my membership association somehow. The next week is something else next week. Or what I've decided, I think is really good too, for me at least, is to Mondays and Fridays are my work on the inside the company, because there's an inside and out working outside the company. So it's taking care of all the little things, it's putting our events together, it's like, no meetings basically. It's no meetings. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays are meeting days that I said, all right, these are the days that, I want to meet with new people, or this is the day that, that I'm going to spend time working outside of the company as the CEO, working on building the brand and things. And then Thursday is, we've got a lot of workshops and events that happens on Thursdays with our company. So you can do it several different ways. I've even gone so far as to put it on my Google Calendar now, is to literally say, these are the days, and I'm starting to block, do the block scheduling that I think some people are into and things, and saying, this is it.
Yeah.
Sales days, Wednesdays are my sales days, and things like that.
I think that's really smart. And when she was talking, there's a great book by Vanessa Van Edwards called Captivate, The Science of Succeeding with People. And what I love about this book is it talks a lot about networking and how to kind of go about it and really figuring out what works for you. So like, while Barbara and I operate similarly in many ways, I am actually an introvert where she's an extrovert. And so like going to these large networking events, I would find that I would shrink and it wouldn't be productive for me. And so after I read her book, I felt so much better, because she talks a lot about, it's about figuring out what's your best method of networking and really optimizing that. So I really...
Did that answer your question?
Excellent.
Okay, good.
One more question. Go ahead, last question.
Hello.
Love the green.
Sorry, I was a few minutes late.
That's okay. Will you introduce yourself so everyone can get to know you too?
Hello, my name is Celeste. I'm a business growth strategist.
And new member, this is our first event.
Yay! So I work on a consulting side with corporations, trying to, like what you said, basically bring their teams into this social world so they can increase profitability, productivity, decrease turnover. But then on the side, we coach a lot of entrepreneurs. So I had a question on your board. So a lot of our clients that come to us are trying to do all of the things. So
Yeah.
I wanted to, our philosophy is really what is going to get you to
Yes.
cash quickest, like fast path to cash.
Yes.
So that you can start to farm out some of the tasks like social media and whatnot, because most people are trying to do everything on that board at once and not making
Yep.
any traction in their business, and therefore not generating any revenue. So just some advice to people who may look at that board. Did you find yourself early on in your business? I've had to do this myself, like on a daily basis. Nope, we're not focused on that. Stop looking at that. That shiny object. We're no longer going
Yeah,
down
the shiny
that.
object syndrome is hard.
What would you say to an entrepreneur, like from a time standpoint, sales versus everything else? They need to focus on basically selling, relationship building, nurturing their ideal client.
Can I add to that just
yeah.
really quickly, because I'm in that bucket, right? So it feels really overwhelming.
I had a
Yes.
I wanted to ask that
Yes.
because
Yeah.
I knew that Lori would look at that list and be like, oh.
Yeah, that's
It's like
right.
shut down.
Yeah,
Those
totally.
are all of the strategies underneath that you can employ. You do not, and I wholeheartedly believe in only picking, do not do all of them, especially as a solopreneur. You need to pick, your revenue generator, so you need to pick what of those strategies will get you to, if it's one or two of these things, if it's, what do you do again?
I do coaching, emotional wellness coaching and consulting for individuals and organizations.
So
So
you
like
definitely
companies
have to
hire
have-
her to help come in and help with their employee emotional wellness
Right.
and like job satisfaction.
So branding and collateral, that's a given. You have to have that regardless. On here though, some of these are things that you need to do regardless. So see, you can already mark off, you've got the website, boom. But social media and content marketing probably are the things that you need. You need to get your name, keep your name out there. So you're gonna build a content marketing plan because these two go together in the first place. So you would build a content marketing plan and you need to pick the number 1 and number 2 mediums that are best to reach your industry, your clients. You heard me say at the beginning, we're focused first on Facebook and growing that because that's where our women are. And then LinkedIn, and then Instagram will come in later. But we post very sporadically to LinkedIn just to keep it alive. But first, grow your community in the place that your clients are most. And if it's LinkedIn, then it's that. So it's creating your own company group, and then and finding those people to communicate with. That's what because I totally agree. I'm going to tell you, our advisors just told us a week ago. Stop, because we have a million ideas, a million of them that we want to do, and it's like I want to do it now. I want to do the retreat, and we needed them to be hard on us and say stop, go for what's working now, see success from that. Success meaning we've achieved our goals in helping these women, and also we're business women, so we're also bringing in revenue. Then bring on the retreats. Then bring on, event number 2, 3, whatever. So it gets hard, but first focus and get the win.
I would add to that from what we've seen, especially from solopreneurs or like women who are moms and you're juggling it all, and you're trying to do a business, you're trying to do everything. Content marketing can sometimes be lumped in with who else has your audience, right? Leverage them. Who else can be selling for you? Who else can be giving you referrals? And I think in your case, especially if you're going after companies, what companies have you worked with that can then refer you out to their vendors, whatnot? So like, let's stop trying to just the hamster wheel all the time.
Yeah.
And think like, how do we find other people who can
Be
help-
ambassadors.
right, and help us, and what does that look like versus trying to do every single one of those things and just getting to the burger.
Yeah.
Well, and for people who aren't marketing people, content marketing can feel daunting. So what that could look like is one blog on LinkedIn a month,
Right.
specifically about the topic in emotional wellness that you're teaching about anyways to the company you're teaching about,
I
right?
have so many articles, like I have so many
Yeah, so
that
it's just-
I haven't posted yet.
it's
It's just a
just-
matter of.
And you need to make those, I would also recommend turning some of those into a vlog, because video still gets more hits than, and more engagement, it seems as though, depending on the medium, I should say. But, just to, and it doesn't have to be professional. People feel like you have to, just take your camera and a tripod and speak to the camera like you would to a client and do a 30-second, and then attach that blog, the full story with it. But that helps you in SEO and SEM is the video, the storytelling in that way too. And then you can also pop it on your YouTube channel so that whenever, one day you decide you want to do YouTube if you want. If not,
Well, and again, all of what she's saying is fabulous. The biggest thing is just picking one thing that feels okay and starting. I think it's less about getting it right and doing it all. It's more about getting started and attempting.
and getting a win.
And getting a win.
Then moving on.
Yes. Well, I am just blown away, and I know I can't even summarize the 3 takeaways because I think there were so many takeaways. I know that each and every one of you learned something today, so I have no fear that we accomplished both goals: getting to know somebody / meeting someone new and learning something. Next week we have food for thought. Is that right? Feed your brain. Feed your mind. My brain's dead today. And that is on Thursday at noon. I'm looking at Anna Marie to make sure I don't screw it up. Anna Marie keeps me on track. And Mari Gieser, if you haven't met her, she is who is leading the workshop, Mari Gieser, and she is amazing. Speaking about video, she does a lot with video and presentation. I don't think that's what her whole presentation's about, but she definitely is good about thinking about how to have that on-camera presence and that it factor. So we encourage and hope to see all of you next Thursday. Ooh, the one last thing I want to say before I let you guys get to know each other more. we have been talking a lot about programming. We have brought back in-person programming, which it means a lot that you guys are all here. We have 3 in person and we have 1 that's a hybrid. It's the first Tuesday of the month. And we're torn on how we want to navigate that. So when you're sticking around chatting, hopefully you can chat with Anna Marie and give her some feedback. What we're trying to decide is whether to make that first Tuesday of the month purely on Zoom or to go ahead and really push for this live watch party. So what I mean by that is the first Tuesday of the month, we have a speaker who is in St. Louis. Next month it's Jill Farmer, who is an Emmy Award-winning newscaster. She's freaking amazing, and we'll be speaking about productivity and time management. And I'm telling you what, anytime she speaks, it's mind-boggling. So regardless of this, you will not want to miss her presentation that first Tuesday in September. But what we're torn on is whether or not we think our members will ever actually want to come to an in-person watch party where it's that interaction where you're here. She's in St. Louis, but you're like interacting with her and doing all the things. We haven't really pushed it yet, and so clearly no one's done it yet. And I'm the kind of person where it's like we're either all in and we do it and we get people here and it's a great success, or we call it a day and it's just purely Zoom. So percolate on that and give us some feedback, because we don't want to put something on and not do it well. But that's all I have. Round of applause for Barbara and all the wonderful feedback. She's incredible. I hope you will stick around for the however many minutes and get to know at least one person you've never talked to.
And I want to say thank you. And I'm going to be full disclosure right now. I wanted to do it afterwards, but I have 6 stitches in my mouth. So,
oh, right.
So yes. I almost couldn't make it here today.
Yes.
So if I'm talking still a little bit weird, but I love that it's probably helping the healing process.
You can stop thinking
On
about
both sides, I'm like a chipmunk over here, and then I got a stitch over here. So
you are a trooper, very much a trooper. Well, happy Wednesday. I hope you guys stick around and get to know somebody and have a wonderful time. Great job, Barbara.
Thank you.